My name is Rick Ellis from allyourscreens.com. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And I wanted to talk to you first about, how you pitched your vision of the show, because this is one of those ideas that can, as you know, go horribly wrong if it's not set just the right way.
Yes. Well, I think for me, the key was because basically a producer came to me and was like, I have the rights to Blockbuster. Do you want to develop a show around it? And I was, yes, like it's the golden ticket. So my approach was a little bit, because there's so much, the history of like Netflix and Blockbuster. And I kind of just wanted to take like this location that was like fun and meaningful to me growing up and kind of just put people, like a lot of the characters are based off of people in my life. Like Connie is based on my mom, Connie Ramos. And it was kind of getting to pick like a fantasy team of people I've encountered and wanted to interact together and putting them in this iconic place.
Well, it's a fun idea in that, you don't spend a lot of time ragging on Netflix, but you take some shots at them. And it's almost like doing a show on ABC and, saying Mickey Mouse sucks. I mean, it's nice that they gave you the freedom to do that.
Yes. Well, because I think we all understood. It's like we all know what we're doing and we acknowledge that kind of like the history here. And I think I would have felt so weird had we not addressed it in some way, shape, or form. And I think Netflix was never shy about that, which was what made them good collaborators.
Now, how early did Randall come into this? Because he's sort of an integral part of this. I mean, if it really revolves around him.
Yes. So Randall, he didn't technically come in until after it got ordered to series, but in the original pitch, it's listed as Timmy, a Randall Park type, because we were told we'd never get Randall Park. There's no way you'll get Randall Park. And then, once we got the series order, he was the first person it got sent to, and he was in, and that just changed the whole thing.
Yeah, he's really good in this, and I wonder what kind of conversations you had with him about the character, because if he's too dweeby, it's kind of sad and pathetic. But he can't be two together, because then it doesn't really work.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think that's the great thing about Randall is he inherently is just so likable and so winning that even when he's down, you're on his side. And then I think the character for us was very, I think it's like there's still an optimism. He's a dreamer. He's holding on to the past, like, yes, for his own reasons, but there's sort of like a purity to that of like, a better time when we all interacted. Like there's a sweetness to him wanting to go back to this, like, human connection point.
Well, it's interesting because I had recently some conversations with people about Blockbuster, and just this whole idea that particularly younger people kind of going back to this analog approach to life, records, and there's almost a spot now for that kind of place where people could just go and talk to other people and share movies and it's a retro idea, but in some ways it feels very 2022 too.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I have a ton of friends that are like into records with the sound quality, you can't match it. And, and there's people that I've like encountered in making this where they're like Blu-ray, the quality on Blu-ray is that are kind of set in those, worlds.
Now, I'm curious, usually as you're casting a show, sometimes casting someone will change the character. You had a vision of a character, and once you get a particular actor or actress in there, it sort of makes you realize, oh, we can do this that maybe I didn't think we could do. I mean, were there some casting decisions that sort of helped the show evolve a little bit?
Maybe a little bit on Tyler Alvarez as Carlos. I think we started to write a little bit more to his personality and sort of like even in the pilot, I think the way he delivered this, like, I might as well wish upon a star, like Carlos kind of having this attitude of like, oh, like, I think he's the opposite of Timmy. He's not necessarily an optimist. He's like, yeah, things are hard and you don't get to have dreams when you have, immigrant parents. And he's not as like, it'll work out as everyone else. And I think Tyler, I love Tyler so much, but I think he and we've discussed our like anxieties. So I think we maybe incorporated that a little bit more into his character.
I want to talk about JB Smoove because I don't know if you describe him as a character actor, but most people hear the name and they have a certain image of him and what he's going to be like. And the nice thing about the show is he sort of starts off that way, and as the episodes progress, there's a different side to the JB Smooveness that was really fun to see.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was fun for us to write too, is finding, Kamaya Fairburn, who plays his daughter. And I think it was because you rarely see JB take like a sort of lower status to a different character in the stuff he's in. So we have this like mean 16-year-old that you see him kind of like, are smoothies canceled? Like he's tiptoeing around someone for once.
What's fun to see the amount of modern pop culture references you get into one episode. I guess the last one was, you mentioned everything from the metaverse to, whatever. And, as you're reading through those episodes, obviously you write them, what's sort of that process of realizing, okay, this is the right amount of jokes versus, you've worked with this kind of an ensemble, workplace ensemble before. So I suspect you have a pretty good feel for this is just the right amount of joke per scene.
Yes. I mean, well, also, I think it's like a little, I love jokes. I will always err on the side of like more jokes. And then it's like, we'll cut it, we'll figure it out in post. If this is hurting like an emotional moment, then it's like, okay, we give ourselves space to kind of, thin it out a bit. But I tend to go very joke heavy, and that's just a preference.
Well, I like to, you have experience, like I said, doing these kind of shows. And does that make it a little easier going into this, where you're sort of creating this world that you have this sense of, we don't want to go down this road because there's going to be a problem, or we need, this is a good way to juggle it. Can you just sort of talk about how mentally you're working through that? Because you obviously you're using all this experience, and you've seen things go wrong on other shows, and you think, oh, I don't want to do it this way. So
yes, well, I think the biggest thing, my takeaway is on the like, will they, won't they, between Timmy and Eliza. Like the pacing of that, I was very cautious of. I'm like, okay, one show did it this way, one did it this way, and what are like the pluses and minuses? And kind of like, I want to have it build and keep them like apart, but not in a way that's like frustrating to the audience, like going forward. But yeah, I think it's like a lot of, like, I learned from Superstore, the sort of Mateo Cheyenne dynamic of them, they were buddies and able to finish each other's sentences. Like that was something that really helped with like the Tyler and Madeline's characters. And it's been nice to kind of just incorporate some of the different experiences into one new thing.
Was there something in particular where you went into this thing, I want to do this in this show, I want to get this in somehow, either this arc or this particular scene, this is something I haven't been able to use in the past, and you were able to get it in?
There wasn't anything I was like holding on to, but Hollywood Herald in episode 2, I knew I wanted to do like a local movie critic that just had this like weird quirky thing. And so yeah, him being, Hollywood Herald being married to movies was something that was in my original pitch. And then when we got ordered series, it was like, okay, where are we doing Hollywood Herald?
Well, and pretty much every city has a Hollywood Herald of some version. So now, did you always know, I don't want to give anything away to people, but did you always know how the season was going to end? Because there are a lot of changes in that last episode.
Yes. You know what? This was my first time developing, and basically everybody told me, they're like, no one gets a show on their first time. Like there's no point in even dreaming or planning these characters. So I really hadn't thought beyond the pilot. And then once we got the pickup, then I was like, oh, okay, I can start to kind of dream and see where their lives go. I knew store-wise what I wanted to happen, but I think I knew Melissa and Randall would be great together, but then seeing their chemistry, that kind of informed a lot of like, even just on Zoom, their chemistry, what I wanted to do in terms of their character's emotional story.
It's sort of as a way to wrap this up, I'm curious if the process with Netflix was different than it is with one of the broadcast networks, because they're still relatively new with, and this is a very traditional comedy. This could be on ABC or NBC and would look perfectly in style. Was the creative back and forth different than it would have been with a broadcast network?
I think so. I think because they are like fairly new to this type of thing, it's like, okay, they trust, it's me, Jackie Clark, who worked on Superstore, and David Happy Endings, that we knew what we're doing. So I think we maybe had more freedom here, because I think maybe at a network would have been like, okay, this is what we've seen work specifically. And so we got a little more leeway. Like they had input on things of like, okay, the first 3 episodes are super important, so we got a little more notes on those. Or it's like, use your cursing sparingly, keep it TV-14. Like, but other than that, they were just like really, kind of a dream to partner with, because they're like, okay, well, we're letting you make this show, and we trust that what's funny.
Well, congratulations with the show and with your first experience doing this. I really, I blasted through all 10 episodes when I got them, so I was a big fan. And good luck with everything. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. It was a lot of
Oh,
fun.
thank you so much for talking to me. This was amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching all of them at once. I've only done network, so this is so new to me. And I love to hear that. I'm like, oh, that's what we want. We want people binging.
Well, it was one of those things where, like I said, it could go horribly wrong. And as you're watching the first episode, you're thinking, oh, please don't let it be bad. And about 3 minutes in, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be great. And I watched the whole thing. So
Oh, thank you.
take care. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks.